Artorias the Abyss Walker and Great Grey Wolf Sif, two companions in a very dangerous world we call Dark Souls. In the world of Dark Souls, I can't assume anyone knows anything, so I'll try to give you the important bits while not overwhelming you too much. Let's begin. The world is covered in fog, and everlasting dragons ruled. There was no life, no death, no color, no light, no dark, no beginning, no end. They were just there. Until fire appeared, similar to the Big Bang. 4 Lord Souls are found in this fire. The Life Soul, found by the Witch of Izalith. The Death Soul, found by Nito, first of the dead. The Life Soul, found by Gwyn himself. And the Dark Soul, found by a pygmy, but unlike the other souls, it's weak to start, and therefore it's easily forgotten. Gwyn, with some help, beats the dragons, the fog fades, and his Age of Fire can begin. Lordran becomes the Land of the Gods. In Gwyn's Age of Fire, he had 4 knights that he appointed himself. Hawkeye Goff, who would shoot dragons out of the sky with his giant great bow. Gwyn's Captain of the Guard, Dragonslayer Ornstein. Kidan, who was no match for dragons, so she must have killed Gwyn's enemies for him in the Age of Fire. But of all the knights, none were as well equipped as Knight Artorias. Nothing frightened Gwyn like the dark, because he knew one day fire would fade, and humanity would take over the world. His world. Humanity was struggling against the natural order of the world, because Gwyn tricked, manipulated, and forced the tide of the world back in his favor. In Lordran, 2 human cities flourished. One was a city called New Londo that was ruled by 4 kings and guarded by the Knights of the Dark Blade. The kings even had fragments of Gwyn's very own soul gifted to them to help govern their people. But this is a trick by Gwyn, for above New Londo is Firelink Shrine, a place of undead sacrifice for Gwyn's Age of Fire. Another great human city was the city of Ulasil. It was a city with great sorcery that clearly benefited the Age of Fire. They learned that light can be manipulated to create illusions, it can hide your intentions, it can even mess with time itself. And spells like this are of great value to Gwyn, so Ulasil flourished. A great city and an example that humanity could be taught to serve the gods. A pygmy visited this city. This pygmy's name was Manus. We don't know a lot about Manus, or why he showed up in Ulasil in the first place. We do know he died there. His body laid to rest beneath the city itself, out of sight and out of mind. Some believe Manus is the pygmy that found the Dark Soul. Whether he is or not really doesn't matter, because either way he was part of a race Gwyn was doing everything in his power to suppress. How did he do this? Well, he deceived them. He gave them a ring city at the end of time, and his youngest daughter, Filianor, whose slumber kept the ring city suspended in time. He raised an everlasting dragon, who was tasked with a duty that would never end. He tricked the pygmies, telling them that this dragon was their protector. And his last action was linking the first flame, sacrificing himself to become the first Lord of Cinder. This started a vicious cycle. Humanity gets the undead curse, and as far as they know, the only way to stop it was to link the fire again, keeping Gwyn's Age of Fire safe. This process repeats endlessly. When you think of it, it's hard to imagine Gwyn didn't have a hand in Manus' death. He did have assassins under his command after all, led by Kidan, one of his 4 knights. Whatever it may be, humanity was struggling against the natural order of the world, and New Londo, that was once a haven for undead, became the home of a dark abyss and for its dark race. These dark race were taught to pillage back their humanity, and the one who taught them this and started this abyss was a serpent called Kath. He corrupted the 4 kings. Some say the dark race are the most human of all, but according to the New Londo sealers,
the dark wraiths are the enemies of man, and any living thing that has a soul. They were never meant to roam again.
With the abyss and his dark race, Artorias and Sif set out to eliminate the threat. He was best equipped after all. He had a weighty blade to hit harder against creatures of the abyss, he had a great grey wolf companion, and he had a covenant with the creatures of the abyss. But the threat of the abyss could only be put on hold with the sacrifice of the entire city. That's how powerful their abyss was. It's a good thing then that Gwyn had a safety measure put in place long ago. So the Sealers of New Londo watched as they flooded the city, killing the entire population. While Gwyn stopped the New Londo threat for a time, Gwyn was ill-prepared for the outbreak in Ulasil. When the citizens heard primeval man was buried beneath their very city, I'm betting curiosity got the better of them. what can only be described as the raw emotion of man bleeding into the city, corrupting the people of Elysial, Manus becomes the father of a dark, unstoppable abyss. It's as if he was looking for something, using his power to reach across time and space, till he found it. Instead, he ended up finding Princess Dusk.
I still think on that creature from the abyss that preyed upon me. My faculties were far from lucid, but I quite clearly sensed certain emotions. A wrenching nostalgia, a lost joy, an object of obsession, and a sincere hope to reclaim it. Could these thoughts belong to the beast from the abyss? But if that were true, then perhaps it is no beast after all.
The object of his obsession was a pendant, but now that we have it, Manus reaches out and pulls us back in time to Elysial. When Gwyn heard about Manus and his abyss, Artorias was again sent to deal with the threat. After all, he was best equipped. But fighting Dark Rays and Primeval Man are two considerably different things. So Artorias and Sif were defeated and forced to retreat. Bested by the abyss, and soon to be overtaken by it, the last act of Artorias was to protect his companion. He shielded Sif with the divine power of his great shield. With his arm being broken, he's unable to bear the burden any longer, and he could not leave Sif unprotected. Then Artorias was overtaken. However, soon after, the spread of the abyss was actually stopped, and Princess Dusk made her way out of the abyss. Thus, the legend of Artorias was born, the knight that gave his life to stop the abyss, to rescue the princess of Elysial. Artorias, the Abyss Walker. This is a lie, however. In fact, we are the ones that dispersed the abyss, and we rescued Princess Dusk, and we fulfilled the legacy of Artorias. Artorias tries in vain to warn the chosen undead, to stay away, warning the chosen undead of the dangers ahead. But he can't get the words to leave his mouth.
Wherever thou art, stay away. Soon, I will be consumed. By them, by the dark. I beg of the spread of the abyss. It must be stopped. All of you, forgive me, for I have availed you nothing.
We stopped Manus' suffering, but Manus wasn't the only corruption of the abyss we killed in Elysial. There was also Artorias. The legend of Artorias is a lie. He did not defeat the father of the abyss. He did not stop the dark race of New Londo. The abyss is unstoppable. Even like this, notice that Artorias continues to kill corruptions of the abyss. He's still in there somewhere. But the legend of the Abyss Walker can only live on with his death. In Dark Souls 3, the legend of Artorias would inspire a legion of Abyss Watchers who continue to fight the Abyss. Yes, it's unstoppable, but if they don't fight, then who will? Only his fellow knights Goth and Kidan knew the truth, but they vowed to take his soul and his secret to the grave. And the chosen undead would leave without a trace, almost as if they were from another time. And years later, deep within an enchanted wood, behind 2 locked doors and a covenant of forest protectors, Alvina, an ancient cat, speaks the truth.
Did not so that thou art new? Thou fared well to find me, but cometh thee not for the grave of Sir Artorias? My advice true. Forget this. The legend of Artorias art none but a fabrication. Traversing the dark. 'Tis but a fairy tale.
Alvina is downplaying the legend of Artorias because adventurers and bandits are looking for the secret of abyss walking, and they would destroy his legacy to get it. And they may hurt Sif in the process, who Alvina helped to save back in the darkest hour of Artorias. I've tried finding my own words for a lot of this script, but this is the hardest of all because VaatiVidya sums it and delivers it perfectly, so I'll let him say this next part.
Imagine what Sif is feeling when you cross paths again years later. You're duty-bound to seek the abyss, and Sif is duty-bound to stop you. One of you will have to die, because Sif cannot give you the covenant of Artorias willingly. Maybe, in death, he can find his friend Artorias again.
While the legend of Artorias is a lie and a sad tale, something that really stands out to me with Artorias and Sif is the story of companionship and loyalty. Artorias' last act was to protect Sif from the creatures of the Abyss, and Sif protects Artorias' legacy from thieves and bandits, never leaving the gravesite of his old friend. While it's an extreme example, Artorias and Sif show us what real friends and companions are. They were two companions from beginning to end, and we'd all be better if we were just a little more like them. And that's what I learned from Artorias and Sif. If you watch VaatiVidya's Prepare to Cry on Artorias, you may recognize this video and script being heavily inspired by him. A lot of what he says is summed up and delivered perfectly, and finding my own way to put it wasn't as impactful. But I did my best on this one. So I wanted to give VaatiVidya credit for that. Check out his channel, link is in the description. Before I go, I just wanted to say, if you enjoyed this video, then let me know. I plan on doing a lot more videos like this, and if you have a character or story you'd want me to tell, I'm open to suggestions. And if you made it this far, then thank you for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it.